America, my name is Osei-Frimpong. I come to you live, well, actually pretty often now, because I think the only way for you to make it in Trump's America and hopefully help us all kind of overthrow Trump's America eventually is to understand what's going on. And I don't want you to squander your life or get confused while this man keeps winning. And you keep losing. And I don't want you to lose. And I don't want your kids to lose. I don't want your neighborhoods and your communities to lose. And so I'm going to come to you as often as it takes for you to understand your lot in this life in these United States. And today's lesson is going to be on government efficiency. Elon Musk and Vivek are now Trump's advisors in terms of the Department of Government Efficiency. And that is called DOGE. Now, understand that these people want to gut the regulatory state. So that doesn't mean how many pesticides are in your greens or how much plastic is in your rice or, OSHA, occupational safety, that goes out the window. All of these things that we that are a function of the regulatory state that helps us, use capitalism to realize our freedom are going to go away. And so you'll have more moments like I had when I was in Jakarta a few years ago. And in Jakarta, I saw a young man working on the road with a jackhammer, making a road with flip-flops. We're going to go back to that time where, people can be on the road with a jackhammer and flip-flops in a world without OSHA. Because we don't know what efficiency is. We don't know the difference between government efficiency and private sector efficiency. And I'm going to make a sharp distinction right now and clarify the terms, right? So with respect to private sector efficiency, the private sector actor is allowed to do whatever they can in order to secure profit from the market. Right? To produce whatever good they can in order to put that good on the market and then sell it at a profit. So they want to keep their own costs down while out competing any competitors so that you'll pick their product, pick their product, and then the product is still more expensive than what it costs them to produce. And if they can keep their own costs down while out competing their competitor, they have efficiently run their business. Now, if their costs start ballooning, if it costs so much to produce per product that they don't receive a profit from its market value, then the company has begun to run inefficiently. If it can create the same profit for less costs on its end, then it's running a better business. It's running a more efficient business. And the danger of a company being inefficient is that a new company can come, create the same product, except at a lower price because it will be able to do so without the fat of the old product, or the old company, right? So business efficiency works because it keeps you competitive. It keeps the product innovative and your design strategies innovative. And you want to produce the best product for the cheapest price until you can get someone to buy that product and then wipe your hands of it. Now, the product itself doesn't really matter, right? So if I can get you to buy like candy or methamphetamines or anything that might be bad for you in terms of your freedom, if I can get you addicted to something that's not good for you, but you keep coming back to me, that's actually good for me because I can be less efficient or I can actually put out a less good product and you'll keep coming back to me because you're addicted to it and you don't have, I've distorted your faculties through marketing or some chemical products I've put into my product to keep you coming back to me. So I can run my business more efficiently by getting you addicted to me. And it's not necessarily nefarious at the level of myself as a private producer, right? So my efficiency might not be for your health. The things that make me efficient make me attractive to you and make you keep coming back to me, but it might not be good for you, right? And that's private sector efficiency. I just need you to buy my thing and figure out a way to get the liability for the way it's not good for you off of my books. So if there's some sort of long form defect that's not going to hit you for 30 years, that's fine. I just have to make sure I am not here when the liability hits. Right? That's different from public sector efficiency, where if you're a school, you need it done. You need the thing done. Redundancy in terms of more employees might actually be better in terms of public sector and government efficiency. Someone gets sick, you still need the thing done because freedom depends on it. Like having, we have split shifts and extra shifts in hospitals and redundant work. And we staff for redundancy. And that's actually good to staff for redundancy because whatever is done is a realization of freedom and directly. So if that person is not there, then like the purpose of the United States, which is, to secure the blessings of liberty and the general welfare, like that's like the state is not fulfilling its function, right? The problem with government inefficiency is that sometimes you might have too many cooks in the kitchen or too many people doing the same job and nobody knows who's responsible for making sure the thing gets done. We got to make sure the thing gets done. So you can staff towards redundancy as long as there's a clear line of accountability in making sure it gets done. This is how public education gets lost because nobody's actually concerned about whether the kids can read. That's a government program that wants to skate accountability, right? So you can have like 15 teachers and nobody actually concerned about whether the kid can read. And so we try to get the cheapest material possible and we try to be efficient that way. But if at the end of the day, the kids can't read, like all money spent is inefficient because the purpose of the institution is to teach kids how to read and do math. So if you're not doing that, it doesn't really matter how much money you spend. So like per pupil spending is a bad metric. And all of this, like the only metrics that count is can they read? And we should be spending we should be printing money because if it turns out that we need to shrink class sizes to one-on-one, then the most efficient way to run a school is one-on-one. And all of the other like neat apps and all of that stuff, that's just a waste of money. That's government inefficiency. So what they want, and Democrats who don't actually understand what bad schools mean that whatever money you're putting in there, like the argument's going to be just to cut the school because at the end of the day, the kids aren't reading. And if the kids aren't reading, like all money is bad money. All money is bad money. So that's how the Republicans are going to gut public education. They're going to be looking at any sort of metrics. And the easy ones are going to be measurable metrics. And if the schools aren't reading, they're going to have an argument for this is just a big waste of money. So just give the money back because the purpose of the school is to teach reading, to teach writing. And if you can't do that, then any money is just a waste of money. Right? So in terms of government efficiency, you need to look at the thing that needs to get done and throw whatever amount of money and whatever account of redundancy which would be redundant in the private sector, but in the public sector, since it's not about appearing to be done, you actually have to do the thing. Like you throw the redundancy out and it has to be stably produced so that people can depend on it and organize their life, because a lot of freedom, which is what the government's supposed to provide, then enabling conditions of freedom. A lot of freedom is about being able to make plans and realize them. And you can't make plans and realize them if you're living in an unstable environment, right? So now a lot of the things that are efficient in the private sector, which like a lot of it's just sucking up to wealthy people. So there's a quality of sucking up to wealthy people, which is part of private efficiency, and a quality of luxury that's part of private efficiency, because it's all like the purpose of the firm is to extract money from wealthy people who have it. So there's a quality of sucking up to them, which is going to be perfectly appropriate in the private sphere, but would be redundant and inefficient in the public sphere, which is why like junkets shouldn't necessarily be fancy. Things shouldn't necessarily be fancy in public accommodations. in public life. Like everything shouldn't be at the utmost comfort. It should be functional in what we need to actually do the thing. Aesthetically pleasing, whatever, but not necessarily, golden toilets. But in the private sphere, if rich people turn to like that and they happen to like that, and that's the way to separate them from their money, and the goal of your firm is to separate them from their money, then yeah, that kind of luxury is actually a perfectly appropriate private expense. So there's going to be two different accounting of what counts as efficient. In the private sphere, it's going to be about how to separate people from their money as cheaply as possible on your end, but it's going to be dictated by their tastes often, and the taste of a particular class, and not necessarily their reason or what they need to be free. It's going to be dictated by their tastes and their choosing, right? In the public sphere, it's going to be dictated by what they need in order to be free, the enabling conditions of their freedom, and not necessarily your operating costs. Your operating costs are irrelevant with respect to freedom. Your operating costs are as irrelevant as their feelings about it, right? Like you're going to teach people, public schools are one of those places where you got to teach people things that they don't want to know. It doesn't matter. You can't take that ethic into the private sphere because if they don't want to buy it, they won't buy it. But in the public sphere, you got them. They have to come there. They're compelled to be there. You are going to teach them things they don't want to learn, and it's not going to be determined. Efficiency or inefficiency is not going to be determined by their preference, by their likes, by their taste. It's going to be determined by what they need to know in order to be free. Right? And the operating expenses are not going to be determined by how cheaply you can appear to teach them. The operating expenses are going to be determined by how, you can say how cheaply you can guarantee that the product will be delivered. Right? And the accounting problem is going to be whose responsibility it comes, who takes the final responsibility for making sure that it's delivered, so that when it's not delivered, who gets fired, and who takes the heat. So we can be redundant in the public sector and keep accountability, but we just have to understand that if the product is a failure, we are going to end up having to take more people out and have a bigger systemic critique of the delivery mechanism in something like public education. But you don't have to have that problem necessarily in the private sector, because in the private sector, accountability is easy. What did you sell? Like, you only eat what you kill. So if you I know who's doing what because I know who is earning money, and if they're not earning money, they won't earn money. So accountability is a little bit more immediate in the private sector because, like I said, you only eat, if you're a sales rep, you only eat what you kill. You only, if you're a pharmaceutical sales rep, you only eat, if you've sold people, enough Viagra or ED medication or pain pills. The thing is, the kinds of things you do to sell people pain pills, including to distort their understanding of what pain means and distort their chemistry on how they receive the pill, that's not particularly great, right? And it's also doesn't have to be your problem. But in the public sector, it's going to be your problem. And in the public sector, we're just going to look at, does the thing realize their freedom as we have decided it should? And if it's not, then it's like getting the resources to actually blame people for not doing the thing becomes the task, and figuring out where the system fell. Is it in the redundancy? Do we need to make class sizes smaller? Is it in the talent of the pool? Do we need make training better in order to retain and recruit a better quality of teacher? These are issues that the public sector has to face. But the issues they shouldn't face is, should we print enough money for it? Because if you're producing a truly public sector good, you print as much money as you need to in order. We're a sovereign nation. One of our virtues is we need to print as much money as we need to do the job of creating a citizenry that can self-govern. Right? Private sector, you can't print the money. You have to extract it from rich people, which means part of your mission is to suck up to rich people. In the public sector, we can print our own money. So the only thing that matters is how well these kids are doing, or how, like, are you providing the service you're supposed to? I don't care how much the road costs. Is it a road? Is it a road? Will it allow me to realize my plans? Because the purpose of public sector work is to allow people to realize their plans, allow people to make plans and realize them. Make plans and realize them. Private sector is allow people to get happy. Private sector is to extract their money. Public sector is to allow people to enable people to make plans and realize them. Right? So the accountability problems in the public sector are going to be around institutions that don't do what they're supposed to do. Institutions that at the end of the day don't do what they're supposed to do, and how they keep getting funded and how they keep getting existed, and maybe crowding out space for institutions to do what they're supposed to do. A bloated institution in a public sector is an institution that doesn't do what it's supposed to do, but still gets paid. And still gets the line item in the bill. All right. It's not going to be, it doesn't necessarily have to do it as efficiently in terms of private sector metrics, like with its few people and no redundancy as the private sector. But the problem of having redundancy in the public sector is then accountability becomes a problem because you have multiple people doing the same job. And so it quickly becomes a case where you have an open question as to whether anyone is doing the job if the job's not getting done. So in the private sector, it's easier to point fingers. In the public sector, it's harder to point fingers because with the necessary redundancy, like unless you're clear about whose responsibility is what, the job can get away with not being done and then nobody taking responsibility for the job not getting done. Right? I hope this has been clear, and I think this is going to be more and more important as like Vivek and Elon, get more prominence in oh, hey, it's my daughter. You home from school? Want to come say hi to the people? All right.
Hi, people.
Hey, how's the day?
Good.
Good. All right, let me finish the show and I'll be right up, okay? All right. Thank you. I get a kiss on my bald spot. All right, good. All right. Take care. I'll see you soon. See you. All right. So, hey. Private sector accountability is a little bit cleaner than public sector accountability. Public sector accountability, we don't know who is screwing up because we might build in redundancies into the system because it's more important that the system works than it is that it works with the fewest people as possible. But when you build in redundancy, then it's you get a lot of people and everyone's passing the buck about who is actually doing the thing and whose fault it is that the thing doesn't get done. Like at the end of the day, if students can't read, it's going to be easy to want to close the school and say that all money put to the school is inefficient because as it stands, the kids can't read. So why even spend any money for the school? But instead of that, you need to go the other way and figure out, all right, so where's the breakdown, and then fund the crap out of the breakdown. All right, I got to go hang out with my kid. If you appreciate what I'm doing, which you should, go to www.funkyacademic.com, kick in $5, $15, or $50. Yeah, the government prints money at the federal level. Yeah, one tall girl is screwing this up. She's the person in the comment. Yeah, the federal government, like at the federal level, the government functionally prints money, lends it through the banks, through bonding, and like so. Yeah. So let me go. And if you have any questions, I'll talk to you a different time. I will.